Okay, last class we were going through the process of actually creating the design. We're going through the process before internet stopped us abruptly. So we're going to continue that same process we're doing from last class. And from that process, we said once you set up your canvas, already in when you set up your canvas in Photoshop, right? The next thing is to establish like your layout, right? You have to establish a layout, and to set layout is simply how you're going to put your composition, establish a composition and your layout, how you're going to put everything together in the design. So you might want to include something like a title which will be your biggest text in your design. Apart from the title, you might want to include again maybe a subtitle. A subtitle should just be beneath the title, for example, like this. In your after your subtitle, what we actually designing last class was a flyer for a graphic design agency, right? It was for a graphic design agency offering branding and design services. So I will set after this we'll have like our services section, which will just be here of our services, which will be here. After our services, we'll have our call to action. Our call to action, which should be just below here. Our call to action, which should be here. After our call to action, we'll have our image, which will be here. Our image should be here. Our image will be here. We'll have our contact info as well. Our contact info will be somewhere down here. Contact info will be somewhere down here. And then we also have our logo. Our logo will be somewhere here. So in this manner, we've established what our wireframe. Talk about wireframing, prototyping. This is our wireframe. So now, once we've established this, we already know where we're going to put each element. I said you could do this directly on your Photoshop or Illustrator, or you can do it on a piece of paper. But this gives you a clear picture, a clear image of how your design is going to look like, how your final design is going to look like. So now when I get into the designing process from this stage, I am no more stressing, I'm no more thinking how I'm going to put things, because I already know I'm going to put things, because I have wireframed it into this manner. This is called a wireframe. So from here now, the next thing is I have to get the content of this flyer. Okay, now that this flyer is for advertise like branding, design and branding services, right? But what information am I actually going to put here? So one way you go about it is to actually brainstorm by yourself and think what I'm going to put, or you could go another route. Now we are blessed to have AI at our disposal. And what this permits us to do is simply to help us in content generation. You must have heard about AI in one way or the other, different types of AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, and the rest, Meta AI. So here we'll be using Gemini, but you could go with it, use literally any other AI of your choice to do this. So we said the first thing was to give the AI context into what we're doing, what we're trying to do, and we'll give it this prompt. This prompt will say we're doing social media flyers to advertise our branding services and get more clients. So I asked it to write a copy of the flyer. We need the copy to be catchy, brief subheading, list of services, and action-oriented call to action. So this was the prompt, right? And the prompt here is simply to tell the AI what to do, tell the AI what we need and what you want, what output we're expecting. And the more detailed your prompt is, the better the result. So this is what it gave us. But this information here is way too long. We need something very brief and short for our design, right? Because it's social media flyer, we don't need a lot of text. We need something short, actionable, and straight to the point. So we'll give it another prompt, another tool for it to summarize everything. We said the subheading is too long, reduce it to a single sentence. Release the services in a very brief manner and provide a very brief call to action as well. So after giving this prompt now, it updated the results to this: stop guessing, start growing. This is now the new heading, this is a new subtitle here, and these are the new services. You said this result is shorter. If you're not satisfied with this, you could as well continue refining until you get a more accurate result. So continue refining here. We said refine title. I need a more specific title, client conversion oriented. So it changed the title to convert your audience into clients. He said this was not the original title he gave us. So this was the original title here, level up your brand. So it is up to you to optimize the prompt until you get your desired response. AI will not, don't just get anything AI gives you because it's an AI. So you have to optimize your prompt until you get the best possible response. Now remember, in the end, you're the one to judge which one is the best. So it gave this subheading, and it gave these services, and we decided to go with this title. So copied the title. So went back to our Photoshop and replaced area which I had put in for the title. We replaced it now with the actual title using the text tool. So our text here appears as white color. So I'm going to highlight everything by pressing Ctrl A and change the color to something black. I need something simple. So I'll put my font here. I'll choose the Montserrat font. For the sake of this design. If you don't have this font, you can go on Google Fonts and search for this font, montserrat.com, and install it. Well, I've gone through the process of installing a font before in the previous lessons. So you select the font here and the variation. I'm going to go with extra bold, and you can also reduce the size, let's say to 30. And you can also get it like this and like this. So there you have it, our title has been made. So our next stop now is what? The subheading. Subheading. I'm going to delete this placeholder here and put a subheading. So go back to my gaming here. So what subheading did it give us? Tired of your brand feeling a little meh? We had to change that. Your brand is your story and will help you tell it right. So I'm going to get only this first part. This first part is the part I chose to use. So we could still choose to further refine this, but I'm going to stop at this. So we're going through the process. So now use my text box tool. So notice that here my aim is not to add colors. My aim is just to put all the information on my canvas for now. Once all the information is there, then I'm going to go into the refining process. Refining process includes adding of colors, maybe tweaking the layout a little bit, adding some effects, styling the background and stuff. But now I need all the information to be there to be able to better style it. So I'll put my subtitle here. So now, and it's my services now. My services are what I'm going to have it in a box. In a box. So this will be my box for my services. So I'm going to go copy those services. These services are actually very long. I'm going to reduce them as well. But let's just copy them like this for now. So go to Photoshop and text tool. We'll draw our text box. We'll set the text aligned to the left. We'll set it to the right by clicking here. Yes, we set it to the right, and we'll paste our text. So text, we can remove these empty white spaces in between. Fix the size here. Can reduce this one as well like this. Or reduce it further like this. You can also change the size of the text, let me say to 12 or maybe 13, like this. So these are my services. I'm going to change the color to white for it to be more visible. I'm going to increase the size of this box so I can fit in my text inside. We're going to refine things later, but for now I just need it to be there. So now the next step now is our call to action. I've added our text already. Added our text. Now next step is our call to action here. I'm going to increase the size a little bit and drag it a little bit here. I do this by maintaining my hand on the shift key. In Photoshop, if you want to distort a shape, you maintain your hand on the shift key. However, if you want to scale it to size, if you want to increase the size to scale, that is without distorting it, you do not press your hand on the shift key. Just simply click on the anchor points and you drag. So from here now, I'm going to go and copy the text for my call to action. So how can I put this one? I can simply put a simple contact us now button. Can use a simple, so use our text here, put like, okay, contact us now.
You didn't want to use ready to reveal your brand.
What?
Why did you not use the call to action done by Gemini?
It is a choice. It's a choice. You can further refine it. Nobody tells you where to stop, right? You're the one designing. So you're the one who chooses what you take, what you don't take.
Okay.
So it could be this or it could be anything else. However, it has to match the intent, right? Therefore, trying to visual communication. So we have this already. So next up is our image. And I said last time you could also generate the image using AI. The image can be generated using AI. You can generate the image here on Google Gemini AI. You also come to this site here, which I did the last time, labs.google/effects. slash tools slash image effects. This is the link here, right here. See, let me paste it in the chat. So if you just go Google and you type image effects, right, this is going to come up. So on image effects right here, you can simply input your prompts. Well, this is going to take time to load. So let's just go back. So you simply putting your prompt in here, right? So this is a sample prompt. Wide angle framing of a packed lecture hall, a gorilla in a tweed suit and glass in front of the chalkboard. So let's take an example here. This one. We're pushing the create button. So when it comes to image generation, it's the same way just as with text. The more context and the more detail you give to the AI, the better your result is. So one more thing you can also do here on image effect is you can decide the size, the aspect ratio, right? The square, portrait, landscape, mobile portrait, mobile landscape. So you can set the portrait. This is mobile portrait is when you take a picture with your phone, right? Mobile landscape. This is a square, the one we use when we're designing for social media, the square. You have the portrait, the landscape. The landscape is the one on YouTube videos, for example. So you can set your aspect ratio here, type your prompt. So this is a sample. This is sample result here for that particular prompt which we had put. So see the result and it's come up. It gives you 4 different choices for you to choose from. So these images here are generated by AI. So you can set now your own prompts. So what we're looking for is a black woman. Okay, black, beautiful, lady, dressed in a casual, professional outfit, holding a laptop on her hand with a gentle smile on her face. So let's press the create button and see how our output would look like. So that is our output. This is our output. So are you seeing how clean the picture looks? How clean it looks. Looks really clean. So from here you can just download this image and you can import it to your Photoshop and this was the one we did last week. And move the background from here and put in your design. Another way you get images if you don't want to use an AI image generation tool, you can go for and use other online resources which I gave you, such as Freepik, Pixabay, Pexels, Pinterest, to get these images from. So from here, what we search was a young black man holding a laptop, and this is it. The advantage of, for example, a tool like Freepik is you can remove the background automatically here on Freepik and download the image as the PNG format of the subject. That's one advantage of using Freepik. However, on Freepik, you are only limited to 10 downloads per day, so you have to use them wisely. So from here, the next thing you can do is extract your subject. Use your selection tool, select subjects. Photoshop automatically gets the subject from the image. So we're going through the process step by step, right, in creating the design. And you can use this same process no matter what you're designing for. Is it a brochure? Is it a logo? The logo might not involve images, but so you try to refine your selection. We're going to do that with the quick selection tool. So you make sure your selection is well refined. You can as well control the size of your brush here. So you can control the size of your brush. So you can use the plus to push it out like this, or the negative. All of this is aimed at refining your selection. Make sure your edges are also well refined. Make sure edges are well refined as well. So once you've made sure your edges are well refined, you go on select and mask. Let's cancel this. See, this here was not well selected. So you try to refine your selection as much as you can. So when you're done, you press select and mask. So on this panel here, you try now to control your settings here and see how it affects your subject. Right. And I said you have to avoid overcharging these settings, as it's going to destroy the image. The final result won't look very good. So you test them, you add or move to tests and compare the result. Together with the decontaminate colors.
What is the use of that contaminate colors?
Decontaminate colors try to fill in those areas where that you didn't well select on the edges.
Okay.
You try to fill those areas automatically. So you also have this tool here, the refine edge brush tool. Refine selection edges and enhance edge details. Best used in the shadow edges. So this box here is also used to refine this tool here is also used to refine your edges. So for example, I've used this tool here. This is how this thing look like. This is how this place was. So
Yeah.
this edge refine edge brush tool, I can use it and refine some of the places that was not well selected. So I'm going to reduce the size a bit. So if I come in here, for example, and I apply my brush here, so Photoshop will try to correct this area. Let's see, it's trying to correct it. So are you seeing the difference?
Yes. Yes. It's
So
quite
I
clear.
used to correct some of these areas like this of imperfect selections. Of imperfect selection of the image.
So you should try not to reduce that decontamination color to the lowest.
It depends on the image, right? It depends on the image. How much you apply to contaminate color, or actually, if you even choose to use it, depends on the quality of the image and the quality of the selection which you have in front of you.
Okay.
So all it takes here, you have to test them and observe how they affect your image. Are they actually helping you adjust your selection, or are they destroying it? So this is our selection which we have made here. Now I can either choose to save this image as a PNG before importing here to my design, or I could just simply carry it like this, come here and drop it here in this manner. So I said I could decide to save this thing. I could go to file, save, no, not save. I could go to file, export, export as, and choose the format PNG, right? To export without the background. So and export. After exporting, then I come here and drag it from my files from my file explorer and drop it here. Or I could just drag it directly from here and bring it here and drop it here. So
You
there's
can
how
also still save it as PSD and come and open it back, right?
PSD are for editing. Means if I want to come back and edit this image here, then I have to save it as a PSD. So for it to come out as a PSD, I'll come and see these layers as it was, right? That's
Yeah.
PSD. But now I'm not trying to come and edit the image again. I want to use it on my design directly. That's why I'm saving it as a PNG, directly. So I could use it here on my design. However, if I was trying to save it in a way that I can come back and adjust anything on this image, adjust maybe the layers, the masking or anything, then I will save it as a PSD. So remember we spoke about destructive and non-destructive editing. So now I have my image, choose to resize it and put it however we want it in our design. And the next step will be our logo. Will be our logo. We look for a logo. Let's say this one. Going to resize it and put it here. So at this point we've done the heavy lifting, right? I've come up with the layout, I've put the content, even though I've not added the contact information. But I've done a lot already. So we can now choose to arrange everything again, arrange the layout a little bit more. So now at this point, now I have to check now what's the next thing to do. Next thing should be adding some colors. Maybe we could add some colors to style it, or we could style the background. Okay, let's start with the colors. We have our layout ready. This was supposed to be black because we don't have the colors yet. It's supposed to be a black color. Yeah. So this is our design, right? The layout is done already. We're done with the layout and the layout and composition. So now I have to now fine tune this design, fine tune it, which will involve adding colors and adding some effects. So we talk about branding, right? Branding involves having a business having a specified set of colors which they use. So if a business has those specified set of colors already, then you would want to import those colors into your design. So if you have the color codes, you can apply the color codes, or if you have like the sample colors, you can put it here and extract the colors. However, if they don't have a branding color branding yet, you could use some online tools which I showed you when we're doing color theory in order to create a color palette, right, which you're going to use in the design. Or if you're already well versed in colors, you could create it by yourself directly on Photoshop or Illustrator. So now, in this case, we'll be taking the case where we already have that color palette, those set of colors for us to use. And we're simply going to, okay, these are the colors here. We're going to drag,
No, let's listen to in case that we're creating a color palette.
then you have to go and watch the video that where we did the color theory. Color theory. Because in that class, we explained how to create your own color palette.
Well, I watched it.
And there was an assignment for you to create a color palette and present it. That was the assignment at the end of the class, right?
Yes.
Create a color palette. So from that color palette, was supposed we were meant to review it. So we've gone through the process of creating a color palette, of how where you can create a color palette. About when you explained color harmony, right?
Yeah.
Explain color harmony. What were the different types of color harmonies again?
The different types of color harmony.
Yes. We went on Adobe Color.
Was it the
Yes, analogous.
complementary? Yes,
Yes,
analogous, complementary, semi-complementary.
those are to guide you in order in the creation of a color palette.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you follow any of those systems, you will be able to generate to create a
The
color
color.
palette.
Palette.
You have to follow a system, right? Either you follow the complementary analogous, or you choose
Non-format.
a harmony system and extract the colors.
Okay.
I showed you some tools already when you were to test. You're supposed to come up with a color palette and present. If you had come up with one, then you would have simply used that palette in this case. So So that is the reason why we're not going back there again.
Yes, yes.
So now this is our color palette which we created now. Which we created, or for example, you were given this by the business. So to extract these colors here on this color palette. So when you create a color palette, right, you can put them together like this. Maybe I didn't show this in that class. So you can put them together like this. So you create a box, right? Put the color code of the color here on the box, the different boxes, and you can simply save this combination of colors, right? Save as a PNG. So these are just rectangles, right? This one rectangle, another rectangle, 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 rectangle. Just as we were showing, we're doing the layout here. So we'll set them to different colors and then we'll save it as a PNG for it to look like this. Is that one clear? Now I'm going to extract the colors here. We use our color picker tool. So when I click on the color here with my color picker tool, this is going to appear here on my swatches. If you don't see swatches here, then go to window and go down to swatches here and click on it, it's going to appear. So once I click on the color with my color picker, it appears on my swatches. It appears on the swatches, appears on the swatch, and appear on the swatch. So now I have my color palette on my swatches. I can now delete this. Delete this. So now my color palette is here. So meaning that whatever I'm designing here should follow this color palette here. Follow this color palette. So I might want to start maybe with the background. Yes, I don't want to use this pure white background. So I can go on the last tab here and create a new layer above this layer by using this plus button here. I'll create a new layer. It's a new layer. And on this layer now, I'm going to use the paint bucket tool and set the color to this white. This white has a light bluish tint on it. So you see, if I off this layer here, you will see the difference slightly. There's a slight difference. So I've already styled my background. So there are a lot of other effects which you can put. For example, I want to add another effect. So I'm going to use my pen tool in this case, and I'm going to add some light effects. Not light effects, but some perspective effects, right? So I'm going to add some lines here. My pen tool. I simply click here, and come and connect it back here. Here up here, I'll make sure that this is set to shape. Set to shape. So when I do this, I can set the color. I can set the color to, for example, let's say green, so it can be visible. So you see the color here is green. But for this case, I don't want to use this green. I'll use the white, but not the actual white. I want to customize this white and make it a little bit darker. A little bit darker like this. Let me increase the darkness again. Okay, there you have it. So this is just for the purpose of adding some styles to the background. It is not absolutely necessary, but it's more of like depends on your creative direction. It doesn't mean that on all the places you're doing you have to add this. So I'm just doing this because I'm trying to style my background a little bit because background design is also very important. Background adds you add style to your design, right? You add some style. Well designed background adds style to your design. So we can duplicate this, for example, like this. And we're going to rotate it. Or, well, we could simply continue drawing as well. Or we're going to lock this layer here for that background color which added. So we lock the layer to avoid it disturbing us. So we continue with our pen tool. Call ends in 15 minutes. So we continue doing this like this. To add some style. So we're going to take all of this here and drag it to the bottom. And set the color to this. So now I'm going to group all of these elements here because they are similar elements. Now I'll talk about grouping similar elements. So I highlight everything here and I press Ctrl G to group them. For example, or something like this. So I have to add colors, right, on this text. So we have our colors we've imported already. I can use the colors and I click on the text and I click on the color. And I can also add some enhancements to the text, like some enhancements to the text. For example, this space here, I feel like it's too much and this text is not bold enough. So I can decide to come and increase it to black here. And also go on character. If you don't see a character here, you can go to Windows and open character. So in the character here, I will go to reduce my spacing. Let's say 12. 12 is too small. So let's just say 18. Not enough. 24. Okay, I'm going to increase it again slightly. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay, 30 is enough. So like this. So I'm going to maintain this color for this one here. So this one here, this box here, I'm going to choose to use a gradient. And how I'm going to do that is when I click on this field here, or I click on this color here. No, not here. When I click on this field here, or if I don't see this field, I can go to properties section. If you don't see properties here, use my properties here. Right, I can click on the field. Click on field, disappears, and this here is gradient. Click on this for the gradient, and to customize the gradient, I'm going to change the color here, this black color, to one of my colors from my palette, and then the white color to the other color of my palette. So I can also change the angle for it to look like this. And I can also come around these edges by either clicking on this anchor point here and dragging it like this, or by going to the property section and scrolling down to this area here and manually typing the border radius
When,
comparable to 60 pixels. The next
when
question.
I have a question. Whenever I always create a box, like
Yeah,
I've already created, it's always difficult to come back and see those anchor points. Why?
it really depends on your GPU of your machine. If you have a high GPU, you might experience some malfunctions. However, if you go on the property section, you will see it there where you can manually change the border radius, right?
Yes.
So let's increase the size of this a little bit and a little bit like this. And I think I need to modify this my text here. Brand strategy. Visual identity, social media, uh, let me see, for example, social media flyers. I'm trying to simplify the content. Web design. Visual identity. Okay, leave it at this. For example, I want to increase a character spacing. 14. Okay, 14 set reduces. 16, 17, 18. Okay, so I have something like this. So I'm going to reduce this. So now, one thing I'm going to make sure to is that everything here is aligned, but we're going to do that later, a little bit later. So now we're trying to fix our contents. So this box is a little bit too big. So I'm going to reduce it again a little bit by dragging this up. Let's just leave it at that for now. So next thing now we're going to style is our call to action. Let's increase it a little bit slightly, and so we're going to round the edges too a little bit. Same thing here, we're going to add a gradient, go to our properties, our fill, select gradient here, change the black color to the first color in our palette and the other color to this. No, we're not going to use a gradient here. We're going to use a normal color, and we're going to use this yellow here. And we're going to change the text color to a dark one for better contrast and readability. And not just that, we're going to also change the font to something thicker. Change from semi-bold to bold. So something like this. So we're going to lock this group layer here. So we can rename it to maybe background rays, and lock the layer to avoid it disturbing us. So if I highlight these two layers, for example, notice that this panel here is going to appear for alignment. So I can align them in the center of each other and also in the middle, like this. So I can reposition this as well. So if I highlight all of this like this, I can align them to the left. So now all of them are aligned. So I can now reposition this one to be in the middle. And what else? I'm going to shift this one a little bit here because I want to add something here. So now this now looks like a single text, but I want to make sure people understand these are actually points. So I'm going to add custom bullet points here by adding a shape, right? I can choose whatever shape I want. In this case, I'm going to choose the ellipse here for my shape. So I'm going to come here and draw some ellipses here. I'm going to maintain my shape for the ellipse to have a perfectly round shape. Don't want it to be too big as well. So I can set the color, let's say, to the white. So this is it. I can now duplicate them by maintaining my hand on the Alt key. Drag and drop. Drag and drop. Again, I'll drag and drop. So now I can now proceed in refining their positioning, making sure they are well aligned. Making sure they are well aligned like this. So this is all part of the refining process, right? It's all part of the refining process. It's that our design is getting increasingly better and better.
Let's say you don't want to use circles as your bullets. How you don't use circles as your bullets, maybe you want to use ticks, maybe you want to use triangles. How do you put it?
You can test it out and look how it looks here and see how it looks here. I use circles, but it doesn't mean that you should always use circles. If you have something which you think would look better, you also use Try it out and see how it looks like. You understand, right?
Yeah.
Not saying you have to always use it. So this entire process is you fine-tuning everything to get the most out of your design. So you notice that it increasingly looks better and better. So I can combine this one like this, Control G, and here I can create services in this manner. Okay, so here we are right now, the level of our design. So one thing I didn't show you last time is how to edit your images, right? Edit your images, whether it's for your designs, whether it's for your photo manipulation, whether you're editing image for a photo shoot. We didn't do that. Surprisingly, we skipped. We forgot about that. So in this picture here, I can come here, click on the picture, for example. I could still do it here on the original picture here. I can still do it here anywhere I want. So let's just do it here, right? It's the same thing. So click on the image and go to filter and choose camera raw filter. So this is my image here, camera raw filter. The reason why it still appears with the background is because on our image we just imported it, we just carried it from the other image, from the other file, and brought it to this file. We didn't save it as a PNG before uploading it back here. That's why it appears with the marks. So however, so if we cancel this, for example, and come maybe here and delete the mask, no, okay, we're going to convert it to a smart object rather. Convert it to smart objects, and then now we go to filter, camera raw filter. So we converted it first to a somatic object. Then we go to camera raw filter. Okay, that is it. Going to zoom a little bit. So now I see some settings here. If you're familiar with editing pictures, then you should know some of these settings here. We're not going to go over them in detail because of time. We might see it in detail another time, but I'm just going to show you some little things. So for example, the exposure here controls the amount of light, right, on the image. When I use it becomes dark, when I increase it becomes brighter. I have the contrast here, which controls the effect of the shadow to light ratio. So when you reduce the contrast, the image becomes kind of faded, and when you increase it, becomes the shadows are more explicit. So depending on the effects which you want to create, you might want to tweak some of these settings in a particular manner. So that either we're increasing or decreasing, it changes how the picture actually looks. So of highlights. So you need to first of all have a mental image of what you want the final image to look like. So you have to have a mental image of what you want the final image to look like. And you took the settings, shadows, right? Shadows make the dark areas darker. And when you increase shadows, it makes the dark areas lighter. When you reduce the shadows, it makes the dark areas darker. When you increase it, makes the dark areas lighter. So you have the white, same thing for the white. You reduce it, it makes the white areas darker. When you increase it, makes the white areas brighter. Same thing with these blacks here. Blacks makes everything that has a black shade, right? Dark tinted colors darker, and when you increase it, it makes them brighter. So far you can see the difference. This is the okay, this is the original here. This is when I apply some of this edits here. So you can further continue your editing by next step here is the color. You can control the color. You can make it the temperature bluer or yellower, for example. You can control the tints. The vibrance, make how the colors appear more vibrant. The saturation, the intensity of the colors. When you reduce the colors appear less intense. You go all the way, it appears black and white. You have some effects. You can add texture, right? Texture is like adding more detail on the image. Same thing with clarity. This all adds more detail. So if you reduce them, the image looks a little bit blurrier, reducing the amount of detail. Then vignette darkens the borders. Vignette darkens the borders or lightens the borders. We're not going to look into graphs because graphs are a little bit more advanced. So we have the color mixer here, which is to change the hue, saturation, and luminance of colors, particular colors. Hue means you can change the tint of a color. So for example, the oranges here, I can change these oranges to red. You see now, or I can change the blues on the image to purple. You see, I changed, they now look purple. So this is what hue does. So you can change the tint of a particular color on the hue. Saturation increases the intensity of that color. So if I increase blue, so the blue becomes thicker, or maybe the oranges, so it increases the intensity, or the red, see on our lipstick, the greens perhaps, the blues. So this increases the intensity of the colors. So if I go to luminance, increase the lightness. So for example, if I reduce here, see, and if I increase, so luminance controls the lightness or darkness of particular color. So then we come now to color grading. Color grading adjusts like the entire lighting, right, of the image. So you can control the shadows here. So in your color grading process, also customary to apply color harmony principles, right? So in this color, I'm going to use a triadic. So I'm going to set my shadows to blue because what, we have a blue here on the image. So I didn't get the colors out of nowhere. So I'm going to set the shadows to blue because of the blue found on our image. So I can now control the intensity of this blue. See, when I reduce it, or when I draw it down, increase intensity, and when I come back to the center, it's reducing the intensity. It's interesting. So for the midtones, I'll go with something more of yellow at this point here. Same thing here, increase. And the highlights, something between yellow and red, between purple and red, and do it like this. You can also increase the sharpening of the edges. And when you click on this toggle button here, you can compare from how it was at the start and how it is now at the start now. So you can always check how your editings have affected the image. So you see how our editings has affected this image. So you can clearly see the difference. So now this all depends on the effect which you're trying to create, the mental image of the effect you're trying to create. So then you press OK. And our image now looks like this. You can always go back by clicking on it to customize it. You can increase the size of the subject as well. So that we keep adding elements on our design, and the more we add elements, the better everything looks. So we're going to reduce the text here to 13 and reduce the size of our box here. So it now looks something like this. So we had grouped our services together. We could also group this together for our CTA to make sure everything is well labeled. So I'm also going to draw this one higher for it to be closer to the title. In this manner. So I could also highlight this and draw it up as well. So but however, I forgot something here. Which is the title of this box. So I'm going to duplicate this box here. I've duplicated it. I'm going to arrange it and send it forward. Let me block this services layer. So I'm going to add a text here called services. So Control A. Services. Control the size of this box too, and also this text. So we'll change this to bold, and fix the positioning. And then my hand on shift to resize this. So for now we have something like this. So these lines, for example, here, what could we do more here? Can drag this one a little bit down. So let's say I wanted this text here to be a gradient, right? If I wanted this text to be a gradient, I could convert this text to a smart object. Convert to a smart object. Convert to a smart object. And when we smart object, I will double click on it. It opens a new tab here. Smart objects are editable, right? So when I open the smart object here, when I double click on the smart object, it opens here. I can edit the text here. But what I want to do is add a gradient in this text. So I'm going to create a new adjustment layer and put a gradient. Right, and I'm going to set that in such a way that one of the colors will be the blue and the other color will be the green. I'm going to click on this one to increase opacity, the small box up to 100, and I'm also going to it's okay here for now, and control the angle and press OK. So from here now, and I will click on this gradient and put create clipping mask. So there I have it, my text gradient has been formed. I can now close this. Yes. So converted this now to a gradient as well. So what else could we do here? We could add some maybe lighting effects maybe to enhance on the visual aspects. So with these background rays, I feel like they are too dark and too visible, so I'm going to highlight them and reduce their color. I can click on the first one like this, then go on the last one, and then manual shifts and click on the last one. It selects everything, so I can modify the color. Oh, not here. To properties. Okay, simply click on the shape. Try to make it a little bit lighter. So for the rest now, I can simply do this. Let me drag it down a little bit. So can lock this layer back again to avoid it disturbing me. So let me try to add some effects on the background here, such as maybe a small yellowish background. So I'm going to a small yellowish effect here. So I'm going to use this tool here, right? I'm going to draw an ellipse over here. So I'm going to change ellipse to the yellow color and send it back to the background, send it back down to the background. So now what I'm going to do in order to create a soft yellow color here is I'm going to also right click on this, convert to a smart object, it's converted, and now go to filter, I go to blur, Gaussian blur. You see, I set the Gaussian blur to 515, and this is how it looks like. 515. It creates a very nice yellow feel in the background, enhancing the quality, right? Just enhancing it without it being too overbearing. So when I add some light things here, I could do the same thing. I could use my ellipse tool and draw an ellipse here, for example, like this. Set the color to the yellow. Yes, no stroke. Make sure there's no stroke. Then I'll right click here, convert to smart objects. I'll change the blend mode to screen. So with the blend mode to screen, it looks a little brighter. And then now go to filter and go to blur, Gaussian blur. This I'm going to set it this high, I'm going to reduce it. See, I've set it to 45.6. Let me increase slightly again. So like this to 52.4. And here you have it. Our custom lights here. Can place it and put it here. I can duplicate it as well. In this manner. So these are my custom lighting effects. You can add some other customizations by maybe reducing the opacity a little bit here, for it not to be too strong at this point here. Also increase the size. Increase the size, and it looks like this. Let's duplicate this. On this one, maybe I might increase the blur again. To 52, I can increase maybe to 98 this time. So these are some small like effects, right, which you can add in order to create, add some style. And to
from
make it
all
easier,
your
for
thoughts.
example, can do this other way too. But this time on this one, I'm going to reduce the opacity to maybe 28. Okay, now this is not okay. So I'm just going to do it all over. I'm going to create another ellipse this way. I'm going to compare this ellipse to a smart object. I'm going to use some filters, blur, 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 push to blur, increase it to 20 something, reduce the opacity, 26, and then send it to the background. So we've really gone a far cry from where we were at the start, right?
Yeah. Um, there's just one effect that no one understood that I would like you to like take it back.
Which effect?
The the gradient on the text.
Okay, we'll go right there. So we'll type the text, right? We'll
Yeah.
type the text. Like for example, we have this text here. After typing the text, we'll now right click on it, and convert to a smart object. Once you convert it to a smart object, it's going to appear like this now, like this with this small icon here. So I now click on this icon here. The text is now here, and from here I create what a new adjustment layer of a gradient. When I create a new adjustment layer, this gradient is formed. I set my gradient settings, and then I press OK. So that I right click on the gradient and press create clipping mask. Because when you create the gradient, we know how the clipping mask now. It will be like this. So do. Then at the end, right click here and do create clipping mask. Okay, now create a clipping mask on the text. I can now close it, save yes. Make sure you see it's apply on the text here.
Okay.
So have you seen the process? So back from for this place down here for the footer, yes, we can choose. We can also choose. So we can choose maybe to round these edges, for example. And here we're going to use a gradient as well. We can go to the properties, the fill, gradient. I'm going to use this gradient here. I'm going to change the angle. For example, like this. And from here, we'll just add our contact info here. So once we add our contact info, our design is done. So I've taken you through the complete process of creating a social media design. Are there any questions so far? To add your info here, you add your icons, right? Add your icons, resize them. So let's just add one for showcase purposes. So you need to have your icons downloaded already. I told you you can get your icons from flaticon.com. You can get your icons from flaticon.com. So we could put in our icon, for example, the Facebook icon, resize it down. What happened to our icon? What happened to our icon? Anyways, let's just add it back. I don't know what happened to our icon. So you can resize it to the desired size and position it. Then add your text. And set your color as well. So there you have it. Your design is ready to export. So final checks is you have to make sure like your contents are aligned, no matter the alignment you're using. This one we're using like straight up alignment, but if you're using a more complex alignment, maybe in a circular manner, semicircular manner, in a diagonal manner, still you have to make sure your items are aligned. This is a more simpler layout. So this is a flyer you can present, right? So once you're done, you go on export as. Make sure you also save a PNG version. Make sure you also save a PSD version. Set your send to high, then you click on your export button to export it. So are there any questions? Are there any questions so far?
On my side, no.
So was it interesting? Did you learn something today?
Yes,
So
I learned how to take a greeting on the text.
mm,
Just one of the things which I never tried before.
okay. So this is design. This is design. So I think we've reached the end of today's class.